don't know what to expect. I mean, maps went the quote-unquote expected way, but they were both close. Nobody came out like, oh, this is a way better team over here, you know? It has been a back and forth, but Hoven, Bleed, already now in that alt chat, just getting things going, saying, let's get it, boys.
Yeah, very much a tight affair, and I think Jesse may be onto something when he identifies SSG are the only team that did not go out at this scoreline in Copenhagen that has not yet gone out here in Atlanta. Bleed have a tumultuous task ahead of them. They have a fairy tale to tell, but SSG have a hometown major to defend. The first ever main stage for Bleed, or the first in 2 years for Space Station, lie on the line in this effective best of one on Consulate.
And Bleed start on defense. I mean, this is exactly where you want to be. We can talk about stats, we can talk about preferences, but Consulate, you can just set things up. And SSG, they're banned the Monty, so attacks for them not gonna be all that simple. Sure, they can bring the Blitz, but on Consulate, there are so many long lines of sight, so many crossfires being stabbed, so much soft destruction ready with C4s. You don't tend to see a lot of Blitz on this map.
The big operator banned for me is the Solus. We have, yeah, there you go. Great minds, right?
Yep.
We have seen so much Solus in these last 2 maps. We've seen so much late round plant denial and early round playmaking. And I think that getting rid of that Solus has really left the door open for this to be a fresh map, be something completely different to what we've seen on Border, on Cafe. Consulate will be a new battlegrounds, and I don't know who's going to take it, man. It could, seriously, it could be Bleed making history. It could be SSG finally breaking free of the shackles that they have been restrained with for the last 2 years. It remains to be seen. Between 7 and 15 rounds from now, we will know.
I don't see any shackles in this operator pig phase right now for SSG. They're hovering the Sense, the Blitz, the Amaru, Lion as well. They're going to be flying in, setting the pace as best as calm and saying, you know what, you might be defending, but we can control the pace if we want to. It's a good place to be. The thing is, if this rush does not work out, you are gifting Bleed their first round victory on the final map in the series.
It's a huge risk and reward style play, right? Like, if you bottle it on round number 1, there's the whole tempo potentially blown for you for the whole match. It could snowball out of control so easily for this team. Alternatively, you kind of need to bring the heat to Bleed. So I like this play, even if it doesn't necessarily work out. I like it on paper.
You either shatter your teammates, or rather your opponent's morale, or you give them a reason to get cocky and get confident.
C4 in hand, Turks, I'm not sure what that's about for the C4 for the window, perhaps. Yep, there it is. Lionsgate goes down. They don't have to punish yet, though.
Hoven's already down, by the way. Oh, no, he missed the frost mat. Aspie collecting 2 hits. Forest down. What is happening in this matchup? Suddenly it's J9-0 in a 1v3, but gets a freebie onto the frost. He was looking to retrieve Forest. The only way out of this is to bring him back from the dead, and that's exactly what will happen.
Oh, Reaps is going for it.
He knows this. That flash doesn't work from such long range, but you cannot engage the Blitz. You gotta keep space between them.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
And Turdster waiting patiently for someone across his line of sight. SSG cannot afford to make an error here. Forest, such low HP, a single bullet anywhere, a foot, a hand, and he will fall. J9's clutch potential cannot be questioned. Reaps hunting for it, he finds the hand. And J9 called upon once again.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Diffuser back in pocket. An attempt to isolate 1 versus 1s, no information. Dead silence from his teammates as they spectate, as they wait for him to give a chance for his team. But the trade is thick and fast for Bleed. And they start this game with a round in their advantage.
Convincingly so as well. It's a 2v1, default camera's up. The second that they go for that flick onto the default camera, 3, 2, 1, swing together. I guarantee that 2 versus 1, there's no way they lose that. And they don't. So that risk that SSG took, that fast round, the quick pace action, well, it goes punished in this round. It was, almost want to say a good read for Bleed. C4 was prepped and ready, the crossfire was there, and it didn't seem like they were surprised by the Blitz whatsoever. It was a really good round for them.
If there's any consolation for SSG, it wasn't a round that fell flat on its face. It was very redeemable. It ended up a 1 versus 1. And because of that, I don't think they'll be too rattled by losing the rush. If it had just been completely shut down, I'm loving it. I mean, it's not all shit talk. It's also just boosting each other up on your own team, right? Mentalist is just gassing up his teammates. They're having a laugh. To be frank, like when we saw that GH come through at the end of last map before the final kill had come through, I'm like, are we playing a rank game? This is the kind of thing you would expect at 2 AM on Southeast Asian servers in ranked.
That's why they're thriving so much, you know? This is comfortable territory for Bleed. They're used to this kind of action. SSG, they recognized that fast push was not the style they want to go with going forward, so they changed things to more methodical style. The hard breach, the soft breach, etc. Some good guns, the twitch for intel gathering and intel deny, of course. You see that secret, the small staircase in the backside is guarded with a barbed wire and a player presence. So as is Visa, they get one, almost gets a second as well.
Well, Reaps will have to fall off before contending against Hot. Oh, never mind! He's got
That's a tough one.
Greater wherewithal than I would have thought. And now you've lost J9O and Houghton. The garage is breached open, but at what cost? Ultimately, two players on the other side of the map.
And to be honest, Consulate is one of the hardest maps to come back on the attack from a numbers deficit. Turds still looking for an aggressive peak as well. Just letting Space Station know you can never walk around this map, inside or outside, without sweating that somebody from Bleed is looking for you. Now on the back of a Dokkaebi Logic Bomb, Ashen can start to move on inside. He needs to find a lot of isolated 1v1s here, and if Bleed are clever, they'll just hold crossfires to deny that.
That's a free kill. I mean, no crossfire needed as hiding. There's no drone, no intel, forest down as well. It's falls in a 1v5. This could be a flawless round.
Well, and talk about setting the pace early on in the game. Bleed will hunt for it. It's in their DNA. They cannot help themselves.
What are you trying to do? Huh? Come even open the wall!
They did open the wall technically.
I don't think Reaps was on that side of the map. He was busy spawn peeking.
Exactly. But the Thermite did open it pretty early on. You know, Consulate, very big map. Oh, calm down.
Man,
Quiet comms.
to be a fly on the wall in the SSG corner right now.
To be called out. That's what you want to be. You listen to every word they say.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that.
No, not even listen.
I love the listen-ins, I gotta say. And for those of you wondering why we will abruptly stop speaking, it's because we want to prioritize the words being said by the players. We can vamp and fill air as much as we want over the course of roughly like a 3-hour match, but there's only a couple windows into what the teams themselves are saying. And through much of this tournament, a lot of these teams don't speak English. So if you're one of the English-speaking listeners, or the only language you understand is English, you're not going to gain a lot from listening into, like, say, a Wolves FaZe match or something like that, because you're going to hear French and Portuguese. We are graced with two teams that speak English, so there's a lot to learn and a lot to hear whenever they start talking.
And a moment like that, when the oldest player in the server, Hot and Cold, the most experienced guy on SSG, he says, guys, calm down. Those are the little nuggets of gold that we're looking for.
Immense of the team right now, and it's just like, I agree with them, because they're going kind of quickly in, they're getting punished and caught off guard, and Consulate might be a big map, but it can be very hard to actually gain a foothold inside the building. Ashen's done that, but Hot and Cold already taking a ton of damage upstairs.
This is really pacey. You can see SSG are looking for any map control they can find. Doesn't matter if it's far from the bomb site. It's about getting their foot in the building, which proved to be a challenge last round. Here comes the blitz. Forest for one. An attempt at a trade, but the Lions E1D shuts that on down.
It's a good pick.
Huge pick on the Reaps as well. That's likely, what, a C4 off the board?
Yeah.
One C4 off the board, a great roamer off the board.
Reaps off the board.
Most importantly, yeah, I mean, we said this in the Wolves game. Mowgli off the board is a huge pick, irrespective of what operator he's on. In this particular case, you've still got 3 other offensive threats for Bleed, all of whom have shown up so far through this best of 3.
But look at this. SG, they're quickly in to get that kill. Now they're holding angles. Sure, Blitz Forest, he's making some moves here, but most players are just holding down angles, waiting for the moves first.
And Asfi is so quick, the mechanics here, but around the corner, another player, J90, caught with his pants around his ankles. In comes the blitz and does eventually find Asfi, but a Guman in his foot will take him down low. Turdster coming up the yellow stairs for a potential flank, but premature. This could be one bullet required. They know his position, and they will take him down. A 4v1 now. SSG have brought this round back, not just into the realm of possibility, but undeniability now. Mentalist will have to prove a point here to go flawless for the first 3 rounds of defense.
There's Mentalist searching for whatever he can find at this point. The blitz being the biggest impediment to a round win, but also the vertical play from Ashen coming out in spades. Great round from Space Station.
We're back into it, and we're going back to this top floor bomb site where Bleed kicked off the map. If you recall, SSG brought that kind of strange, kind of exciting, racy set of operators with the sends, the rush play, and it didn't work out. Bleed stemmed that very easily. They stalled it out. They took down the blitz. I think we're kind of at the point in the game, right, Nick, where the blitz is probably a misnomer from here on out. You're probably going to pass that by.
Yeah, it quite literally is like a one-off strat, if you will, where it's going to be good for a round, you make that work, and then maybe you'll bring it out on your very last attack round at the earliest again, or never again, you know? And the same thing when you go on defense, you can bring Clash for a round or two, and it might work, but bring it every single round, the enemy will adapt around it, pick, you know, operators that counter that specific operator, and nullify your entire presence.
Well, nothing is uncounterable. And one adaptation we have seen from Bleed in this round is the Tachanka. So a very uncommonly picked operator in this meta, recently receiving a buff, but only to his weapon, not his gadget. So that LMG is now 2-hit kill to the body on almost any operator. That is huge.
Yeah.
Of course, it still has a very low fire rate, but the fire itself, his gadget, could also be extremely handy for denying plant in the late round.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Bleed, they play this operator most often on this top of bombs because you can bounce the fires off the wall and CEO towards the window of the plant position and deny that plant spot.
We saw Bleed play Consulate to start off against CAG.
Yeah.
Very first map, very first day.
How'd that go?
And Bleed won. I mean, it was a pretty good match. They won 7-3 over CAG. However, there was not really a time where I saw the Molotovs being fired out from the Shamika launcher working out very effectively. Now, the plan for a lot of these teams on attack is to get into the cubby upstairs and plant by the window and maybe get out of there. You can bank those fire grenades from Tachanka to try and stop the plant, but I've never really saw Mentalists succeed. Now, it's a good gun. You're correct about that. But I'm very critical of the utility usage from Bleed, and I am hopeful that they're able to fix it, just so we can give them some praise.
Well, the substitution of a Goyo, late round time delay, will never go astray when you slow down your opponent. But SSG have made decent timing here, in particular Hot and Cold, in the perfect position to change this. Turdster sees him, and now they will reaggress. Asfi takes him down. And that is one of the pivotal players from SSG taken out.
Yeah, and Reeves had another one as well. It's just falling by the side here.
Smoke will go off. It's preventing a push from admin, but there's multiple ways now that are harder to hold for the defenders. Widening Consulate was one of the big focuses of the devs, and they certainly added some space. Ashen is in, by the way. This adrenal surge is so big to get SSG back into this. Ashen, the hero so far. Ovid and Mentalist now in a 2v2 against what remains of Space Station. Holding that diffuser. Ashen looking for kill number 7. Through 4 rounds, what an impressive tally. And he'll see the Tachanka long range remove his head, and another as well, but he's beaten by Hoven. Forrest going for the case, shotgun out, he falls off, but for a second, back and forth they go. Hoven will need to push up, but the timer is on his side.
Oh, no,
there he goes! Forrest wins it at the last second!
You guys Let's go! Problem, baby. Solve the problem.
Every millisecond matters in those moments. Point something left up in the round. Forrest said in chat, "You are my son." Hoven said, "Okay, something.
Can't we say that on broadcast?
He said, "Okay, daddy."
Yeah, everyone just wants to hear you say daddy.
I wasn't for it. He said, "Oh, he's a good boy." Oh, they're really role-playing this scenario right now. Damn. I will say, Hoven takes it pretty well there. You know, that's one of those rounds where it's a mental warfare. Do you stick it? Do you get off the plan? Who's gonna make the first move? And the more experienced player in the scenario comes out on top.
Very much so.
Attackers
Ashen had a nuclear round for SSG. Without his sharp shots, it would not have been possible. I mean, he would have had to stick it into 2 seconds after the timer.
Point.
And yet he reads it perfectly. Pre-fires Hoven. They're just in disbelief. He's going to kick himself about that one. If Bleed lose today, there are a lot of rounds that are going to keep these players up at night.
Yeah, there's been some close ones, that's for sure. It was 0.2 something by my count, watching that replay in slow motion, and that is very damn close. Tied up now, downstairs to basement, some kids being brought out, the mirror windows, the bandit batteries, the mute jammers, a lot of the different kinds of deny, but Ashen is ready for it. Picks up the Thatcher, 3 EMPs in pocket, can remove any of those kinds of utility on the map. And SSG, they did breach last round, and the round kind of fell apart. They got spawn peeked on the Visa side of the map. Lost so many members early on. A smoke goes out for ADS clear, EMPs follow suit, but they need a grenade over here.
Oh,
and bad thing is, they ain't got any.
No, they actually gave up very prematurely, did SSG. Probably the right decision, considering they didn't have many hard counters to the juggle from Asfi. Yeah, the question for me is how will SSG be when it comes to that roam clear? Because the prior round where Bleed picked Garage, it was just pick after pick on this roam. And so Hot and Cold says, well, you want to roam? I'll go Jackal.
Jackal could be pivotal here, but time... And this is why SSG they rotated so quickly. They're wasting a lot of time being like, okay, can we breach? Can we not breach? Yes, no, okay, no, let's just go roam clear. But they waste like 30, 40 seconds. It's going to be a very slow-paced round for them, and unless they speed things up and find some kills, the clock's going to be their biggest enemy.
I think there's a bit of trepidation from Space Station because of how this previous attack went, right? They got 2 picked off very early when they attacked this bomb site back in round number 2. The roam from Bleed caught them flat-footed. You got a mute on the board, so you have to be concerned with where that information might come, but so far it hasn't really thwarted SSG's intel gathering game. They still got 8 drones left, so it's not like Space Station will be hurting for information.
I think what we've seen a lot of this game is SSG setting up pre-plays and trying to push Bleed into them to get information, to get picks, but Bleed, for what it feels like the very first time in this series, decide that they've wasted enough of the clock and they're going to fall back 5 on site.
Interesting. Base and bomb side
I like this.
doesn't have all that much base, like good playable positions once the soft lock gets destroyed, which SSG, they do have some self-destruction, secondary shotgun, soft breach as well, but no subject box is going to take a little bit of time and set up. The wall gets up and up, that's going to apply so much pressure towards the bomb site itself, but there is that mirror window locking down the breach.
Hoven had full information on that push from Hot and Cold, shutting him down at the bottom of yellow. Now J90 will survey that same spot before deciding that he needs to be elsewhere. He's got access to the diffuser, by the way, so with 20 seconds left, he's got to get that plant down at some point.
There's no way that this works here for Space Station. They would have to go insane. Already 1 kill Ashen. If he gets this one, it might be possible. J90 to support. He's got diffuser in hand. Faults does not. And they all fall, it seems, for Bleed. Turnster against 3 players. SSG, no time. J90 must stick for 7 seconds. Turnster in a 1v3, but Forrest with the pistol is at the undoing of Bleed.
Let's go!
Once again, how does he keep stopping Bleed in their tracks?
2 rounds back-to-back, clutches for Space Station Gaming. Their momentum has shifted now. Started on Bleed side, the spawn peaks early aggression, now completely shut down. They made that decision. Let's just fall back, let's play the bomb side, and they get punished for it.
I fear this match may kill James, to be honest. I worry for
Can you blame me, man?
I can't blame you at all. That was an exhilarating end. I'm just saying. We need you for the remainder of the event.
Oh, I'm only here for 1 more day. I may as well give it my all.
Oh.
But the
You hear
next
that? I didn't know he was throwing a pity party. Did you get your invitation?
You're not invited.
So sorry, Dev.
No, I mean, This was just a Herculean effort from Space Station as they double pushed Yellow and then had Forrest push down Spiral to hold that hallway. After that first pick came in from Turtsta, I feared the worst for that round for Space Station, right? It looked like Turtsta was going to be able to win the engagement on the hall as well, which would then set up about 2 seconds for him to get towards where the diffuser was being planted. Now, I don't think he would have been able to make it in time, but you have those 1.5 seconds of vulnerability when you pull off of the case where things could go so badly. I was going to say, that's very quick by Hot and Cold.
Well, the thing is, 20 seconds to go, 4v5 to SSG. There's no world in which they should win that.
Right.
Especially walking into a goo mine for J90. And then, there's no way that Bleed should win that 1v3, and yet Turd made it look possible.
That's a good way to put it. It was a fast engine from Hot and Cold. Downstairs is very far off the bomb sites above, but he finds a way in, finds a small gap, and might find a free kill as well, because Bleed, besides those default cameras, got no intel to work with. Trade.
Reaps gets one before being answered right back. I didn't hear a logic bomb go off, so I'd imagine that the Dokkaebi of Ashen dies with full utility in pocket. Reaps being down is just because of him as the player, but as a Jaeger, he's likely put down that observation blocker, and I'd have to imagine probably also the ADSs. So in terms of utility work, Dokkaebi being lost is a much bigger blow.
It is definitely a Bleed favorable trade.
It's also the EMPs, by the way.
Oh, that's a good point. Second EMPs, yeah.
Sorry, you a color caster now.
He's seeing all.
Well, after you just did the play-by-play, what the hell am I?
I'll take that trade.
You know,
The funny part is I pointed to him, he started to do it, I pointed to him, and I was like, yeah, man.
I just love you explaining to a 2-time world champion what EMPs are.
Do you know that EMPs, were pocket EMPs even in the game when you played?
at the very tail end, yeah. But barely. Yeah, Jesse also said that, Parker, when did you analyze this game?
Oh, here we go.
Jesse dresses like bring your kid to work day, so I'm not really too worried about what Jesse has to say. This final round, there's a minute remaining. Space Station have been tripped up by some of the utility, but they have been able to cut their way through it. After losing Ashen, SSG have clobbered this Bleed defense. Hoven and Turd, the last 2 remaining. SSG on attack on Consulate. Situated quite well to finish things off with a 4-2. Oh, missed opportunity on to Turtsta, who re-engage on J90. That's an anticipatory.
Hang on a sec.
Oh, wait a moment! How does he get there? Hoven in the corner, managing to take down that diffuse plant, but he's finished off for it. And now it'll be Forrest to hop back onto the case. Turtsta shut down Hot and Cold with the final kill. 4-2 first half for Space Station.
This is where I get a little bit worried for Bleed. You know, they start defense, which should be a good position. They get the first 2 rounds, and that's the end of the half of them, basically. Yeah. They lost 4 in a row. You know, they're on facing down. Like, if they lose... if they lose... if they lose...
I want his vocal dexterity. Like, I want... We can't...
so quiet!
Parker, can I just say... I'm glad that Ashen's good at video games, because otherwise he might be coming for our jobs.
Oh. You would be a shout.
There's more to it than just shouting, James. I will say this. They are down 2-4 right now, but Bleed are not looking any worse.
No, they're
they
smiling.
Still look happy. They still look mentally in it. They're firing right back. In terms of, maybe not in the server, but they're certainly doing it with wordplay.
Well, they're going to need to, because they, as you said, Nick, they've just lost 4 rounds in a row. The momentum is squarely in SSG's favor.
Yeah.
If there's anyone that I'm surprised the lack of fire we're seeing on Bleed's side, it is Reaps. Yes, 6 and 6. He is the top fragger on his team, but he's also the top dyer on his team. And you don't want to see one and dones from Reaps. You want to see big impact plays.
Yeah.
An early round pick where you take out the Dokkaebi's utility and you die, like, that doesn't really mean much. SSG are very good at adapting mid-round. You need more.
The thing is, when Parker and I cast Bleed on Consulate last time, against CAG, for example, it was Reaps that was popping off, finding double. I think he got like a 3K into a 4K back-to-back rounds on the bug, starting top floor, ripping the 4 apart, roam clearing, breaking the side apart, and then killing the side players as well. So if anything, it is Reaps on attack now that can get things going.
There's only one player on the entire basement floor. Of
Oh, yeah,
course.
this is just Space Station playing console. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, okay. Well, yes, there's a lot of
Do you remember how
vertical
they used to play
potential.
Clubhouse?
Yeah. SSG Rome. Come on, man.
No, they popularized the entire
Mute
Rome.
Nazi combo here we've got, guys.
Oh, are you an analyst now?
Yeah, actually,
I'll let you take care of this round then, Space Station expert.
Hold on a second. I said I was. This is the ship of Theseus, right? It's not the same space station. It's not your father's
Fault
space
is the
station.
same.
It's not your father's space station. Let's put it that way. Different team, different look. No Lycan timeouts to be hit.
Ooh, Turdster, nice entry on the ace. Ashen has been a very vocal player. He's a big one to take down early. He's also been the top fragger in this game thus far. Jano no low HP. Yeah, this is looking really grim for SSG. Reaps has found a big kill. So much of this roam game has subsided. Jano shut down. This could well be a convincing start to the second half for Bleed.
Oh yeah, this is the bleeding attack that we know and love and seen before. The call is gonna actually strike force. He's gonna be hurt out. He stopped it, actually.
I think he was hacking the cameras.
Oh,
and
you're right.
As a result, SSG have perfectly timed this re-aggression. 2v5 swiftly becomes a 2 versus 3.
I've said time and time again, the 5v3 is the most dangerous lead to have. I mean, I guess a 5v2 is a little bit different, but... How do Bleed move next? What do they have? 3 hard breachers. Well, I mean, if you got some hard walls to get through, they're going to get the job done. They got some soft destruction, and they've got smokes as well. I will say, I like the tools that Bleed has. Even if they are 3 hard breachers, hold on a moment here. They're running into all of SSG's guns. Forrest and Fultz, the same position, finding themselves being spotted out. Mentalist all alone will attempt a desperate opportunity before hopping off.
Oh no.
Catching Forrest! Not good enough for Fultz. 5 in a row from Space Station.
And that is such a determining round as well. A 5v2 that goes astray for Bleed. Yeah, they have been so diligent. They have been so persistent. And they have never let the mental get ahead of them. But now, I think that's got to be the most crushing blow that they have felt so far. They will finally take their tactical pause.
Yeah, and I think this is the right time to do it. Yeah, they're a little bit behind, or quite a bit behind in a 2-5, but after these rounds, going over the half, 3 rounds in a row, losing from advantageous positions, you gotta talk about the mental now, because now I can understand that players are feeling a little bit out of it, a little bit frustrated at least.
Get ready, yeah? Go to tradable positions. Or disengage, okay? Heads up.
Heads up.
This is Reaps, the most feared player in APAC, and he's got his head in his hands.
Fucking go! Come on!
But look at this, Asfi, right? Bring up the vibes. Goes to Reaps first with the fist bump. Mentalist looking down as the leader. To his left. Everybody's looking fine. Looks to his right, says Reaps, head up, buddy. This game ain't over yet. And that's the kind of mentality and leadership that you need in a team when you're down 2-5. Let's say that Bleed loses the next 2 rounds. You go down 2-7. They look great doing it, at least. Head in the right place, fighting every single round. And yes, losing a 2v5 round, it sucks. But they did it last round, they can do it again.
I love the courtesy, moving the mic away so he doesn't destroy his teammates' ears.
I think Harney Coben, can you please stop?
My old man ears can't handle this.
Oh, I spoke with the Clash back in like round number 3, but like, you can play Clash once or twice.
Yeah. I think this is a really scary moment for Bleed.
Yeah.
To be honest, that round has probably determined the outcome of this match. It is not done yet, but we may well look back in a few rounds and say, that 2v5, that was the moment.
At least to this half, because before that, it was 2 back-to-back clutches also for SSG, so it's the last 3 rounds that have built up this kind of frustration point. And now, you go with spawn peaks, that's annoying, right? They bring out the Clash, so once they see this, like, oh, this is so annoying to deal with, right? It's just like, mentally, you're getting locked out of these rounds if you're a tank and consulate as we are. You're down in numbers. You know, they're not really getting convincing opening kills besides the previous attacking round. And up against the Clash or the top 4 defense, there's no easy kills to get early.
And I don't think I've ever seen Reaps tilted in his career. If he can come back from this, then yeah, sure, Bleed might be able to find 3 in a row, might be able to contest on map 3 here. But if Reaps goes silent, if his impact cannot be felt, then Bleed I don't think they'll have much.
Bit of a dance here with Ash and Jane, I know, but
Oh
Posey
my,
finds
no,
the opening.
Bleed, not like this! It does amaze me how often we see botch nitro cells,
Yeah.
by the way. And I mean, I'm not gonna pull the ninja, like, how do you miss kicks as a kicker? Just get better at your job kind of deal. But it does genuinely perplex me how poorly a lot of these teams have those nitro cells lined up.
Just be better. That's what Parker's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
It sounds like.
I mean, it's certainly advice that if it were followed, then Bleed could make a comeback. If not, I think SSG may have found themselves an adequate advantage. The Clash is the perfect pick here. Reed starts to move on forward. He does have a nade. If he's able to make this land on the player, on the shield, or onto the Clash, maybe even both, it's possible.
I would argue this is the round. Reaps dies to this altercation. I think that's curtains for Bleed here and Space Station move to match point. That's how pivotal this particular fight is going to be, because not only do you keep Forrest up, but you also allow Houghton to exist in that powerful position.
Yeah, this is tough. A breach the wall's not gonna help you. You gotta deal with the Clash, gotta deal with the shield, otherwise you're not getting in.
Oh, here comes the nade. And that nade almost lands, but a shot does secure the kill onto Hot and Cold. Numbers are once again even, but that Clash persists, and Bleed's push has been completely telegraphed.
I love that they didn't want to fight it, though. I mean, they let them exist for as long as they did. Got the hard breach off, but now it's SSG winning these engagements. Aspie will need to clutch out.
He's not dead!
And keep that crime in the family, apparently. Match point, Space Station. 6 rounds in a row. You called it a fairy tale. A popular fairy tale, Cinderella, and what happens? That clock strikes midnight, and they turn back into pumpkins. Is it about to be the clock striking midnight against Bleed? The Space Station now sitting on match point.
I think so, James. I mean,
He's so upset.
I know. He's
Look
sad.
at him, he's pouting.
I know.
He's pouting. We needed James
Getting
Cam.
bullied right now.
You know how they do the, we're going to call in an expert at halftime. We need like a sad James Cam.
No. No, we really don't. This moment isn't about me either, Parker. It has been 2 years since Space Station were on the main stage. It has taken so much time, so much dedication, a complete roster revamp, picking up the core of the best roster from North America at Six Invitational, and a runners-up from a major last year. The former Astralis pieces picked back together to build this super team. And if this is the moment that they can prove that Bleed are indeed not the NA killers, then this is all for them.
The last one is really play util, making things hard, right? The pose, the echo, the Valkyrie. They're gonna work for it. But Bleed, they're still fighting. We know that because they're playing the IQ. They're gonna say, you know what? We see the intel, we'll play the counter, we'll pay respect to the setup and try and pick it apart.
Well, I can only imagine the weight that's on the shoulders of both of these teams. You know, as you just underscored, there's a lot of history with this organization. It's a completely different roster, absent faults, of course. But you play for the team, you know what it stands for. You play for Manchester United, you know what that club stands for. You play for the New York Yankees, you know what that club stands for as well. To play on stage in your own region, that drought is humongous. And on the other side of the table, you've got Bleed, who themselves are now wearing the mantle of an entire region as well. And it's been an unbelievable run for Bleed. If this is the end, I think they have a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely.
But obviously, no team wants to go out this way.
No.
Bleed do not think their story is done yet, that's for sure. But these last 2 rounds have been grim, and Reaps has gone down as well. Ashen has had their number this match, through and through.
He was all alone. He just pushed down Yellow Skylight, and again, Tursta also alone, falling apart here to Bleed.
This is not the ending that anybody wants to a matchup, but Space Station are taking advantage of them. What could have been prolonged is simply almost over. Mentalist with 1 kill, 2. There's still hope. Cross your fingers, cross your toes. 3 players from Space Station just need to sit back and wait.
If there's anyone to do it from Bleed, it is Mentalist. He is one of the OGest of OGs from this region.
He's got no health though, James. He needs help. Nobody's there with him. No intel. 25 health to go. 50 seconds.
And for SSG, the curtains may close on Bleed, but Space Station are sent into orbits for the first time in 2 years. This organization, former world champions, returns to the main stage.